Welcome to Yellow with Susu. I'm your host, Susu, and tonight we have a very special guest, Grant Holupko. Hey, Grant.
Hey, Sue. How's it going?
Good. Thanks so much for joining our podcast this evening.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm real excited to be on. I've never been on a podcast before. This is cool.
Well, we are so excited to have you on as well and to learn about welding and your background. And I know you have so many different types of skills, so definitely thank you so much.
Oh, sure. Anytime.
So I just kind of want to go ahead and dive in.
Yeah.
Grant, what inspired you to become a welder?
I guess most, if not all, of my family on both sides are blue-collar workers. So, I came up around that, from coal miners to auto workers, truck drivers, all that kind of stuff. So I guess that was always a thing in the family. You gather around the table and it sounds kind of silly, but you talk about work. So from a kid, I always recognized that, and I was like, wow, this is pretty important stuff. Sidebar, it's also interesting, the different things, and a lot of it draws parallels between industries and just stuff like that, I guess. And I don't want to say I fell into it. I remember probably the first time I welded was I took a machine shop class in high school, and one of the projects you had to weld on, and that was the first time. And the teacher said, wow, have you welded before? I said, no. And he's like, oh, that looks really good. Yeah, I guess I just kind of stuck with it. And, here we are 20 years later into the trade.
Into the trade. But that was that moment for you, that influenced you and drew you to that craft.
Yeah, because I always wanted to be involved in building something, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And then you said your whole family, you come from a background of people who build, work on cars, well, so
Absolutely.
A very, very talented family.
Yeah, I mean, we're from Michigan, so it's a very automotive industry type state. So I mean that's kind of what I came up around, and it stuck. I had role models coming up. My father especially. His friends, family members, it seemed like the thing to do, and it was very, in my eyes, it was very honorable, and it was honorable. It was something you could hang your hat on.
Right, and you followed in your father's footsteps, and him inspiring you to do that. Can you tell us, what does a welder do? What exactly is welding?
Well, so a lot of it, okay, so the brass nuts of it is in the simplest terms is you basically take two pieces of metal, put them together in some kind of form. There's different types of joints. There's lap joints, T-joints, butt joints, which is hilarious, of course. So you put two pieces of metal together, sometimes it's three, whatever, it doesn't matter. It depends on what you're making. But you put them together in a certain way, and then you basically melt metal onto that metal, and then they're joined together permanently as long as you did everything right. So you're superheating this metal. You're using electronic current and inert gases to protect the weld, to keep out impurities, and you're penetrating into the base metal to make a joint that is permanent. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, you're basically creating these pieces together for, you said, whether it's cars or any type of system, the pieces that actually get bonded together.
Sure. Exactly. If you want to think about it like a badass, hot glue gun, but with metal.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to describe it without going into hours of
super
pseudoscience.
No, that's very cool. That honestly takes that takes a lot of skill to be able to do that. Is there for instance, is there a project that you're especially proud of that you did before?
At one of the past jobs I was a tool maker, where what I really liked about that job was I would get a blueprint, the start of a job, and it'd be, basically a picture with a couple different angle views of what this is going to look like, on a piece of paper. with the dimensions, what it's going to look like, yada, yada, yada. I would get that blueprint and I would cut my own metal. I would machine it. I'd put on boring mills. I'd put on lathes. I'd put on Bridgeports, and I would machine it to size. And then I'd weld it all together, fab it up, do all that kind of stuff. But then a lot of times I had to finish machining it to the right spec, putting bolt holes in it, threaded holes, dowel holes. And it was really interesting and fun to take that from a piece of paper to a finished product. And then the really fun part was taking it into the quality control room to have the QC person measure everything and tell you, yeah, you got it right, or on bad days, yeah, you got to do it again. So that I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun.
So like you being able to actually like bring that to life and create that piece.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing that I really liked about it was thinking ahead of, like, before you weld it. Let's say you had to machine it to a certain size. Well, anytime you put heat to metal, it's going to move. Sometimes it grows, sometimes it shrinks, sometimes it deforms. So once you do it enough, let's say you'd machine a piece almost to the right size before weld, and then you weld it all up, and you leave stock, like let's say on either end of like the surface that needs to be machined to a certain size. So you'd leave enough stock to be able to take that off, that at the end of it, this whole thing just kind of comes together. You know what I mean? So that part to me was fun. It was kind of like, it was using like your experience to kind of make sure everything goes right at the end when you can't really make it work.
Right, like the final product type of thing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Because
Awesome.
I like using the different machines too, it's not just all welding. Mostly what I do now is robotics.
Oh yeah?
It's been a complete...
How's that going?
Well, because that has its own challenges, because you have to teach the robot how to do it. So drawing from my manual welding experience, I'm teaching the robot how I would do it as a human, but then robots can't always replicate what people can do. So then, like, you have to kind of figure out and, like, think, like, how to tell this robot to do it how I would do it.
Yeah,
that's interesting. That's a huge learning curve. Sorry, go ahead.
Because, that's the future, right? So, you're, working with these robots, you're working on programming it, you have to input information to able to replicate exactly what you're doing. So it's not like even you're learning, but then too, these systems that are being built with these, robotic programs and these systems. So it's each individual adapting to what's new and creating, with the entire process or whatever. So definitely, that's definitely a skill to take in.
Well, it's crazy because, I'm basically a caveman. The first email I sent out was literally 2 years ago. Just trying to figure out how to make these things work has been very eye-opening. It's so strange going from just manual and then just trying to figure out how I want it to do it, but then not having any kind of technological background whatsoever.
Being able to do things
just to make it happen,
Yeah, it takes a lot of people because, even robotics, that really robotics, is engineering.
There's a route that I didn't think I was going to take, but, whatever.
Right. But you never know. I always say, God opens the door.
Don't expect things to happen fast. That's what I've learned in my career.
That's that you say, kind of just go with the flow or give it time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's life for you, right? But you have a lot of different talents. Like you said, you're working on robots. You have a background in welding. You know a lot about cars, and then you also you go hunting. So that's a hobby of yours.
Absolutely. When it's the right time of year and the season, dictates when I can. I absolutely go hunting. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And so, what do you most love about hunting?
There is that cool, interesting party.
Food.
Well, to unlock that part of and I don't want to sound like too woo woo or anything like that, but like that primal part a little bit. You know, it's neat. It's neat to kind of open that door, because I think like modern society, quote unquote, you know, however you want to think of it, you know, people are pretty disconnected from where their food comes from.
Right.
So like you go to the grocery store and you buy hamburger, you buy pork, you buy chicken, you buy turkey, you know, all this stuff, fish, whatever, and it's there, it's packaged, it has a price tag on it, and the long and short of it is basically you just have to buy that.
Right.
So if you want venison, which is deer, if you want grouse, if you want woodcock, all that kind of stuff, you can't buy that. Now there is situations where you can go and buy quote unquote venison or elk or, you know, all this kind of stuff, which is still venison.
Right.
But that's from a game farm. You can't legally sell wild game in the United States.
Well, okay.
So even though they say it's venison, like, yes, that is a white-tailed deer, but it was raised on a farm, like a cow.
Okay. So, like, there's different, like, limitations versus hunting and, like, going to the grocery store, which, like, do you find that your time outdoors hunting and your work as a welder, like, share similarities or bring you kind of, like, a similar type of satisfaction that you're able to have all these different skills?
It's really interesting because I was thinking about kind of the parallels between the two, and there is and there isn't. And what I mean by that is, like, I can work really hard and be really good at my job, and sometimes that's easier than hunting really hard, but then you might not be successful either. Because we're talking about Mother Nature, which cannot be controlled.
Right.
So it's like, there's that aspect of it, and then the juxtaposition of, like, my workplace life and then, like, my hunting life is, like, I'm in a loud, dirty, smelly, stinky place for, like, 10, 12 hours a day. Yeah. But then, you know, you go out in the woods and you sit, and it's quiet. And then if you sit long enough and you're quiet enough, you get to see things that you've never seen before.
Because you're like one with nature. Like you're almost becoming like one with nature, like connecting.
Yeah, it's a very nice break. It's about getting up there. It's been a whole deer camp thing. And we eat like kings. The whole family's there. We're playing euchre at night. Stories, just, you know, it's almost like another Christmas for me. It's like another holiday. It's like a bonus holiday I get.
Yeah,
you know,
like your family does. That's really, that's cool traditions, and, you know, you're keeping, like, you're teaching your family and following those footsteps. So that's really great to hear. And too, you know, like you as a father, how do you balance work and your passions between like family time?
Well, so, you know, the kids, you know, come first, obviously. You know, that's what you do. You know, the kids come first. But I try very hard to teach them in a way that they can appreciate both sides of the story. And what I mean by that is like let's say I was like really into like a sport or something. Like I wouldn't.
Baseball.
Oh, okay. Like I wouldn't really like push my kids to do that unless they expressed an interest in it. And then like, sure, we can go whole hog if you want, or like if you want to dip your toes in it like a little bit. And then, like, let's say you don't care for it, then, hey, you know, you tried it, you didn't like it, then that's fine. You know, there are people, too.
Right.
You know, and then you're trying to set, like, a positive role model, but you also, you know, I want my kids to be around, like, real stuff. Like, real stuff.
Like outside.
And hunting is very real.
Are those, or like, are those some of the values that are important for you to, like, share with your family to like kind of help them learn and keep those traditions?
Absolutely. Our son, 7 years old, he's always liked farm equipment and trains and stuff like that. And he's asked me like are farmers important? I said, listen, I was like, they are the most important.
Right.
If you don't have farmers, I'm sorry, we don't have food.
Right.
And that's kind of important. Yeah, it's kind of important. So it's like, yeah, it might not be glamorous, but it's so important for stuff
It is
like
like
that.
a part of life.
Yeah, yeah. And like with these guys, like I said, like we're not gonna push them to like do anything they don't want to do, but like I want them to be able to like change their tire on the side of the road.
Yeah. Do you find that like being a father has like shaped you or like even kind of changed your perspective on life and work and home and hobbies?
Yes. Yes. For both my wife and I. Actually tomorrow Elisa and I are celebrating our 20 years together.
Wow.
Not 20 years married, but 20 years together. So that's pretty crazy to think of.
That's wild.
It is. It's been great.
Yeah, you two have been together forever. They're on Spotify too, right? I think so, right?
And all that stuff. Yeah. All the
platforms. Okay, Spotify, Amazon. You guys check them out. Free Rival. And she's a singer on it.
Free House Rivals.
Wait.
Well, she's doing guitar and backup vocals right now. She's working on a song right now.
Oh.
That'll be coming out soon. So that'll be good.
Okay. Can you say the name again?
Free House Rivals.
Free Rival. Okay, very cool. That's awesome. So shout out to them. If anybody's listening, check them out on Spotify. And you said they have a new album coming out here soon. A new song.
They released the EP not that long ago, maybe 6 months ago.
Oh, awesome. Oh, so that's like pretty. That's awesome. And that's cool how like you both are supportive towards each other and like you said.
Oh, absolutely.
There's 20 years since you've known each other. Really good job on that. And then hopefully, that inspires other young men and other men in general to be able to follow those footsteps and hey, go for something, have a family, follow your dreams, do what you need to do. Like you said, show up, you put in the hard work and keep up those family traditions. So that's just an ask, like, how does your faith play a role in your daily life? Like from whether it's work, being a dad, how's it influenced you to like keep going? Like you just kind of keep it up, you follow your faith and kind of just push through situations?
Well, so I was baptized Catholic as a baby, but I was never really brought up like around religion.
Right.
But I would say I'm agnostic.
Okay.
I would like to think there's something after this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you still have hope, like you have faith that your day's gonna get through. Like even though you were baptized, but you still have that belief that it's like, okay, at the end of the day, I'm doing this. Like there is something else out there. Like there is like God, a higher power. But in your daily life, like just getting up and doing what you have to do and having that hope to carry on to the next day. You finish one day. Now you have faith that you're going to get through it. And now you have faith, like you said, your kids are going to know how to do what they need to do as they're older. And it takes a lot. Faith is not easy to keep going. Like to have the belief and when I say like belief too, like strength, because to me, like faith, basically to me, like faith is another word for strength. That have enough faith. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like to have enough faith to get through the next day. Life is not easy. Maybe for some people. I don't know if for people from Michigan, if it has or hasn't been. I don't think so. You really gotta work hard out here. So, just being able to have that and like you said, like being that good representation of being a father, you're a leading man. So it does take a lot. So I can,
I also have Elisa, my wife, who I know I can depend on.
And that's important.
So it's not just me doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have her, and she's amazing. So,
that's awesome. No, that's important. You guys are really a team. You're raised Catholic, but at the same time, you like even to me, like sometimes because I'm Orthodox, like I'm Orthodox. Well, so it's basically it's like Middle Eastern. It's like old school. So like similar to outside Catholic. So we did it a little bit different. I think I talked to somebody like when we do our baptism. Like you do your baptism, your communion, and your confirmation all at one time. They're like 1 year old. And then Yeah, so like the whole like kind of Greek vibe and stuff. But after that, like your family can teach you, but it's still up to you. Like at the end of the day, like because you know, like nobody, as much as you, whether wherever you do, if you don't believe in your heart, it's not gonna matter. Step back and look at the teachings of Jesus, right? Like to be able to be like a good father, a good person, do righteous things. I mean, that's like really living the life of like a true Christian. Like actually stepping up to the plate. Like even you doing all these things, like you are like following that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're actually being a good husband. You support your wife. You love your wife. You're being there for your family. So that, like I said, especially in today's society, that is so much to be respected of. There's not.
Oh, thank you, Sue.
Yeah, no, for real, but for real. And I've always looked at you that way. I'm like, he's a pretty damn on point kind of man. So I was like, you know, he sticks his word, and you know, I know your wife, and she's a sweetheart too. It takes a lot to be a leading man, and you having that supportive wife, you know, gives you the ability to keep moving forward. So no, that is really awesome.
Absolutely.
It really is. So really good job between the both of you. I know you both work hard, and I know family means a lot to you guys. So that's really amazing. I'd applaud, but you can't be doing it.
Well, it's funny when you think, like, all I ever wanted to be when I was a kid was just a regular guy. All I ever wanted to be.
Regular guys are superheroes. I don't know what you were talking about. No, it's important because people don't think about it. And I know, like you said, your father was like a leading man, like, you know, your parents. So that just being able to honor him and, you know, like you said, you wanting to follow in his footsteps and, you know, God bless his soul also and with everything. So just being able to do that, I'm sure he's so proud of you, man.
I'm sure. And, you know, for people listening, you know, I lost my father this year, October 14th. And, that was hard. It is hard.
Yeah, sure.
And it's a very sobering feeling of when you lose a parent, you kind of grow up a little bit more, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because that's been, what, a month and a half, 2 months, almost 2 months. But I've caught myself thinking like, oh, I could call the old man and ask him. No, you can't. But at the same time, you have to, you gotta like, but what did he teach me? So even though he's gone, he's really not.
Right. And it takes a lot of courage for you to be able to do that. And I know you said, okay, yeah, you can't call him, but you can always pray for him. You can always, and you know, there's this old saying that prayer, like, you know, we don't see what prayer does, right? But behind the scenes, that energy, that vibe, like everything that you're sending, like there's a true belief where they say that prayer has no timeline. So you can pray for somebody at any point in time, and like even when you think of that person, they say like when you think of somebody like in that situation, pray for them, because it's almost like it's like a connection between two worlds almost, and the way to like keep connected. But like that, it really takes a lot of courage for you, especially going through that, and everything happened so recently. Like for you to know, okay, like this is, you know, this unfortunate part of life, but that you keep moving on, you keep moving forward, you want to follow those traditions. So it really does take a lot of courage, Grant. So.
Well, I mean, it comes down to one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
So like at that point, you have two options. It's either you quit or you keep going. So the other one isn't good, obviously.
Right.
So you just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. And, you know, Lisa has been there. My mom's been there. You know, everybody's been amazing with this whole thing. And yeah, I'm thankful for the time I had with him. You know, he was a father figure for so many people.
Yeah, he was. It all comes down to choice. And sometimes choosing is hard, but getting over that step and choosing to continue in this life, I mean, again, I'm going to use the word courage. It really takes a lot of strength and courage. And that's why I always use that word faith, because to me, like that's what it is. Like to keep on going. You don't see what's in front of you. Trust in God, trust into the universe, and keep moving. Because, you know, you really can't look back. But then again, Like I said, you're making it happen, man. Superhero 101 lesson over here. What is it? Not all superheroes wear capes.
No.
Some wear flannels and boots.
Well, sometimes I wear suits and like fun t-shirts and shit like that too. You know, I mean, I try not to be one-dimensional. You know,
that one right there.
I can rebuild a carburetor, but like, you also want me to bake you like some chocolate chip cookies because my mom taught me to do that.
Yeah,
I can sew. Yeah, I know how to sew. I can spin wool. I can spin wool into yarn.
Really? No. You can really do that?
Yeah. Well, so I can well, I don't. I can, but I can hand sew. I can sew with a machine as long as my mom would set it up for me. It was really cool. When we were younger, she had my brother Lon, who's a Detroit firefighter. Shout out. He had a spinning wheel, like an old school like spinning wheel. You know, she would sit there and she would spin this wool into yarn. And I remember as kids, we would just watch, and I was like, man, like that is like a pretty cool process. It was neat. It was interesting. And she made hats. And, you know, and she always donated, you know, to charities and stuff like that.
No, I know. And I know your mom can cook because I've had some of her food, so I know that.
Oh yeah.
Mom can cook first. So I know that. But no, like you said, like honestly, these things that you're mentioning, like it's a necessity of life. So like being able to sew or cook or hunt, I mean, really you have like the necessities of life, driving, understanding vehicles. So I mean, that's really like all the things you really need to learn.
I think it's a good thing to have an understanding of it. I don't think you need to be proficient in anything, but like just to know a little bit about a lot of things is good. I think people should never stop learning. I think people should always be students for anything that you have a slight interest in. You should pursue just to see if you would have been good at that, or at least take something out of it, or a different viewpoint of something.
Like to seek knowledge. Like always seek knowledge.
Yes, because that speaks volumes. I'm going to go back to school here.
Are you?
Well, to finish my degree, like I took the company I'm at with now, I went through an apprenticeship with them, and that put me, I think it was 12 some odd credits short of an associate degree. So I'll be 38 at the end of December. I'm going to go back and, you know, finish the associates just to have that. You know, I'm almost there, so it makes sense just to finish it.
You, man, that's so cool. You're doing like a lot of different things.
Well, I'm also.
Let me know when you're gonna write your book. Let me know when you write your book. You know, The Life of Grant Holupko, so I could check it out.
Nobody's gonna read. Nobody's gonna read that.
You never know, man. You never know. The Life of a Welder. Just do it. Just go for it. You know. So, are you excited to go back to school?
No.
No. Check that answer. That was good.
No, I am, but it's just another thing. You know what I mean?
Just another thing to add on. But I'm sure, like, after you're done completing, it's going to be like, wow, like, I actually completed this. And like you said, no matter what age you are, you're literally going back to finish something that you wanted to do.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like, it only makes sense. Because I'm so close, it only makes sense to go back and just...
To, like, finish it.
Kind of get it over with. Yeah, just get it over with.
Oh, so that's that's like 2 semesters or something like that?
Well, yeah, if I was super ambitious, it'd be like 1 semester, but it's probably going to be 2 or 3-ish, you know.
Right, because you're going to take you have a whole life. You know, you got to take your time with it and stuff. That's so cool. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Like, the fact that you're taking that free time to learn, to complete, to finish, like I said, that shows the type of person you are, like how your parents raised you. So big ups to them for sure. You know, God bless. Having a beautiful wife and just like a really good support system. I'm sure you've inspired people. But I was going to ask you too, like, what advice would you give to someone trying to balance like their job or their personal passions and like family responsibilities?
It's definitely a balance. And if you have a significant other, like, you know, before you have kids, like, It's you and them.
Yeah.
And then you have one kid, and it's like, okay, now this little miracle is priority. But then, like, you also have to realize, like, you guys, like, you and your partner need to keep up on you guys being partners and being friends, being someone you can confide in, being the shoulder to cry on, being the support system, because you need that. It's been amazing. Absolutely amazing. I was very fortunate to have a wonderful set of parents growing up. And so is my wife, Elisa, Jim and Dara. They are great people. And I look at them as mom and dad as well. You know, so yeah, it's very important to keep that in the forefront. That whole thing, that friendship, that partnership.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you created something that only two individual people can.
Right.
And raising children is the most important thing. But then you also need that other person to do that with you.
You both know the value of having each other, being there. Like I said, a lot of people in today's world don't have that. A lot of people take people for granted just in general.
Yeah.
Some people don't know. Some people can't tell, like, how much a person loves you and really wants you to be happy. And, you know, sometimes, like you said, you put somebody's happiness before yours. And it really takes a lot just within you to be able to actually follow through on a person's promises. So the fact that you know that you're able to notice the value of a person in your partner, like that to me is a blessing from God, because not every person see that there's other people where you can give them the best treatment, you can show them as well, and they might not accept that, and they might not want that, and they could take you for granted where, hey, you know, I was there for somebody and really, I really cared about them. I really, especially through friendships, you know?
It's just the support system that I have. But, you know, Elise and I together is something that I'm thankful for it every day.
That's really awesome.
With the one that I have, you know.
With the person you have, yeah.
Yeah.
You know the value of your partner, so I think that's just a blessing if every person has that. Again, there are people you can do everything and just show them the world, and still you'll never be good enough for them, or they're always looking for some kind of outlet. And I think that comes, again, with how a person's raised, whether they choose that right path that they're following and see, and then, you know, to keep moving forward. So that's just really cool, Grant, for sure.
Yeah, I'm thankful every day for who I have in my life.
Yeah.
Really. I consider myself lucky every day. And,
yeah.
You know, because I'm a robotic weld leader at where I work, and then there's a manual weld leader. He's been there a little bit longer, but we've become like best friends.
Yeah.
And he is one of the most beautiful people on the planet, this guy.
Oh.
And I'm so glad. If I get nothing else, this takeaway from where I'm at now, where I work, is having a friendship with him.
Because I'm telling you, man, like, sometimes, like, I believe that, like.
Yeah, I love that guy. You know, we work together on a lot of stuff, and, you know, we've worked together for years now. You know, as you get older, your friend circle gets a little bit smaller. You know, you have kids, you know, the family and everything, so, like, you're not hanging out with people, so then you start kind of getting into that whole thing of, like, who do you see every day?
Right.
And I got blessed with, you know, my, you know, James, who's my, you know, a counterpart at where I work, and the guy's
That's
awesome.
your bestie. Your bestie. That's so funny. So funny. You're lucky, because especially, think about it, not everybody who goes to work has, like, great work partners. So you basically, like, have, like, almost a family relationship, and, you know, like I said, it's not easy to find good, genuine people. It's not like they come by hundreds. So to come across that, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a blessing. And is there right here before we wrap up, is there any more shout outs or anything you want to give to anybody?
Well, you know, just everybody in my family, extended family. You know, my brother, Detroit firefighter, doing the damn thing. My wife.
Shout out to firefighters.
Yeah. My wife's doing, everything she's doing for the family and doing her thing with the band is fucking awesome. That's her passion, so that's great. My mom, the whole, everybody. I'm thankful for where I'm at, and I wouldn't change anything. I would not change anything. And I'm very thankful to be on the podcast, because.
No, thank you. It's so fun. You were seriously like a fun episode. And that's the thing too, like, because, it's really hearing people's stories and taking away from each person, because each person lives a different life. Even just from listening to you today, like, just makes me think like, okay, you're so grateful. You've always kept your word in everything you've ever done.
What's great about it, Elisa, is that we learn from each other and we take each other's hobbies and we both dip our toes in that. Like, I got into drumming for a couple of years and I enjoyed it. And then, Elisa hunts with me now. Right. So, like, it's just like we keep interweaving each other into how did I get so lucky? So, it's really good. Like, you both are like very much sweethearts and nice people and like really good, genuine. So I really, really do wish you the best, and thank you so much for like being on the podcast. No, it was really fun. Anytime. Shout out to producer Greg for hooking this up. Like how make this happen. So thanks to him. Thank you for helping, wrap up the season with us, and I'm just excited. Thank you so much, Grant. Hey, listen, thanks for having me on, because I listen to podcasts, for hours a day. So like just to be on, like, it's so cool to be on. So like, if you ever want to be on again for any kind of follow up, if you have any other questions, like about whatever, just let me know and I'll be there. I'm all for it. But thank you so much, Grant Holupko, for being on the episode. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yalla. Thank you. Good night.